just don't know. I don't know. I'm looking, yeah.
Marc Clarke, that's classic. I love it.
Bootsy Vegas, what's going on Thursday? How you living, son?
I'm doing good with your Throwback Thursday gear on. I'm loving it. Looking like
Yes,
Sammy
Bootsy.
Barr.
Yes, I am not I got my football jersey on. Why? Because I've got the biggest football fan in America. She straps up, she puts on the helmet, she straps on the pads, and she coaches. She's a ambassador, a football ambassador.
Oh, wow.
She may not look like a football ambassador, but she is. Lois Cook joins us on the show. What's up, Lois?
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh my God.
Yes, Bootsy.
Okay, Mark, hold on. Her name really is Lois? That's really her name?
Lois Lane Cook.
Oh my God, I love it. She's a superhero, and we didn't even know.
And don't get it twisted. Don't let this pretty face fool you. Lois will hit you across the helmet. She'll push you down, run you over. She'll lower her helmet and crush you, Bootsy Vegas. She likes the contact. She likes to get busy with it.
Okay, hold on. So if she's everything that you just said, do you know what a metaphor would be good for her? Because her name is Lois. She'll be kryptonite.
Oh.
That was a good
there you go.
I know, so okay, you get it. There you go.
Thank you.
So Lois, look, I have on my Franco Harris jersey. Now, Franco was the guy as a kid that I worshiped. I think we all have our favorite as a child. Then as I grew up, and of course worked in Baltimore, Ray Lewis probably would be my favorite player. Well, since we're going to have Lois go last, Bootsy, who is your favorite childhood football player? Go and team.
Okay, so my favorite childhood football player is Art Monk. Art Monk by far was my favorite. I actually played wide receiver in high school, and I wore number 81 in high school. Every football thing that I played, I actually wore number 81.
Okay, and then he stayed your favorite player throughout even to the day.
Okay, well, something happened was I ended up having friends that played in the NFL that, Sean Springs from the Washington football team, who played for the Seattle Seahawks. He played for the New England Patriots. He ended up becoming my favorite player because he was one of my favorite people in my homies. So Sean Springs, target to this day, because I know him and we're really friends. He ended up being my favorite football player as I got older.
And then Lois Cook, this pretty little girl,
man,
whoever your thoughts, she wants to play with Barbie. No, she was taking heads off.
Oh my God.
That's
Lois,
right.
Who was your favorite growing up? And did your football love happen because of your family?
So I'm going to be the echo in the room, but my favorite player growing up was Art Monk as well.
Okay.
And
I knew it was a connection. The minute I looked at your face, I saw a connection. Woo. I'm sorry.
And I'll have to, and then I have to say that, growing in the sport, especially being in women's football, my favorite players have been Ashley Wisenant, a wide receiver for the DC Divas, Nikki Williams, Natalie Randolph. So the list goes on, but definitely players of the WFA as well.
And so, guys, again, we are talking football and Lois and being an ambassador, women's football. But Bootsy, I would be remiss. Is that a word? I got this. Bootsy, Lois, you may not know this, but for years, the Big Fat Morning Show, Marc Clarke and the Big Fat Morning Show in Baltimore, every Monday, every morning, Lois, we'd have a song put together if the Ravens won or lost. Or we had a new song for you every Monday. A lot of times, me and my man Troy Johnson would sleep at the radio station for a bit, was like a minute and 30. That's how serious we took it. Now, what's funny is we're going to get into this conversation. I know I'm going on as I always do, Bootsy. I'm going to tie it into Franco Harris.
Because I would like to tie it in as well. That's how I got on Donnie, was doing the Redskins songs.
Wow.
That's how I got on. The reason Donnie Simpson hired me to be his co-host was because of the Redskins songs that I did. And I always listen to y'all songs in Baltimore.
Well, so we got to hear a little bit. This one, a couple times this happened. Once with DMX, and this time it happened with this artist. But ladies and gentlemen, the Breakfast Flakes.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wait a minute. And disregard me and Troy's bad singing.
Breakfast Flakes. Week number 10, baby. St. Louis, Baltimore Ravens. Here we go. Come on. In the middle of the night, in old St. Louis, offense wasn't right. We looked like Hong Kong away. Jamal Lewis ran the ball 100 yards or more. But in the red zone, we couldn't close the door. We've got to score, Tiki. Got to score, Tiki. Bowler sprained his knee. He sprained his knee. Yeah. We don't mean to clown you. Don't mean to clown you. It's me. Got a sprain in his knee. For next week, bowlers are maybe. Our offense drop. Or balls and Janet Jack me. I can't shake this thing. Still, it must be insane. So who's our QB? Better not say Redmond's name. We've got to score. What you do to me?
Celebrities coming up.
We don't mean to clown you. Yeah, we not playing around on the Big Fat Morning Show. We know people. Guess who? Guess who? Guess who? Lord knows. You know the voice.
Someone please call 911.
Yeah, Wyclef Sean, what's up?
Tell him that the Raven lost to the Rams, and it's piercing through my soul. Hey, feel my body getting cold, so cold. It's Wyclef at the freestyle. I be the pro. It's all about the Big Fat Morning Show. Breakfast Flakes. Do this all day. Wyclef Jean, NJBK. Raven lost to the Rams early in the morning. Mixing my ex with the ham. Old school. This is how I do. Gunshots make you jump like kangaroo. Ooh, early in the morning. Wyclef smoking. I can't say that on the morning show. When it come to freestyle, definitely the pro. Until then, I flip it in any language. Hold up, I gotta flip it up in Spanish. Mira amiga, buenos días, señorita. Como está usted y su familia? Yeah, yo, y'all still ain't convinced. Listen to a black man flip it in French. Quand je fais l'amour, on m'appelle Romeo. C'est l'histoire de ma vie, toujours à le plus haut. When it come to freestyle, yo, I got mad flow. I gotta go, yo, it's Clef on the Big Fat Morning Show, yo.
Yeah, you know how we do. Wyclef. Now back to the bad singing, y'all. We got this go TG. We can win. We can win without TG.
Ah, yes, a little memory. Sorry, y'all. I played the whole damn thing. Sorry,
Yes, you
y'all.
did.
You were
Yes,
hitting the
you
high
did.
note.
That was, you hear that Reasons and Reasons, Bootsy? Shout
Boy,
out to
it's a
Philip
lot.
Bailey.
It is a lot to unpack. Listen to that song because it's like you started off. I don't know. Then it got really serious, and y'all was like, "Nah, F that. We're gonna go back to this." Like it was a lot. It was a lot. You know what I mean? I enjoyed it. I appreciated it. But the fact that y'all consistently hit them bad notes to the due rate, you would not let the bad notes go. It says a lot about you, Mark. That you guys knew the assignment.
So, guys,
I thought it was amazing. I loved
thank
it.
you, Lois.
Did you, Lois?
Yes.
Well, the good news is we will wrap up this show with one of those too, because it's not often you get a chance to play them. So Lois, okay, a couple things. Now Lois, in addition to being an ambassador, but Lois is going to tell us all about it. But Lois is a coach too. I just want to say something I figured out about a couple things about football, Lois, that I noticed, and one of the reasons I wore the Franco Harris jersey, because again, Franco, I remember, you know how when you're a fan, you guys have Art Monk. Art Monk is Art Monk. He's one of the greatest ever played, probably underappreciated in other markets. He was soft spoken. He let his play talk on the field. There was not many, no detractors to Art Monk. I mean, except for the fact that I think some of the people didn't know how amazing he really was. Now, Franco Harris, on the other hand, so growing up as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, Franco Harris, and I'm telling you, I was a diehard Pittsburgh fan. But when I moved to different cities, it kind of changed because when you move to a city and you're on the radio, you kind of root for the team. So I was in St. Louis, then I went to Baltimore. Ironically, I went to St. Louis, they won the Super Bowl. With Baltimore, they won the Super Bowl. But anyway, I'm not going to say that.
Come to DC. We'll come to DC tomorrow.
I know. You know what? HUR kept me longer. Damn. But so my man Franco Harris, Jim Brown, probably the greatest running back ever, and Lois as a player and a coach. Jim Brown gave you 100% on the field, no doubt. Jim Brown gonna run you over, run through you. He's gonna get those yards. Now Franco Harris, he was different. Franco. If Franco needed to get an extra 2 yards, he might just go ahead and get it next play. He might just go ahead and run out of bounds. He ain't going to necessarily bowl you over. Sometimes he did, sometimes he didn't. And because of that, he was considered one of the greatest running backs, but Jim Brown always said he was a punk, he was soft, he was whatever. Now, knowing what we know, I mean, but you can't, but also what he was a champion, and he won all those Super Bowl rings and one of those rushing titles, right? Football is interesting in that it is definitely, as we know now, you put it all on the field, you're going to pay a price. I remember when I was a kid, you guys are much younger than me, but so one of my other favorite running backs was Earl Campbell, who definitely left it all on the field. Earl Campbell, he's leaving clothes, you're tearing his shirt off, bro. He going to run through you. He was a beast. And I never forget, and when you're a kid and you're so into it. And I think that's why football, of course, even to this day is so passionate. I mean, I would cry when we lost. And I love the players. And I remember reading, you would buy the little magazines on your favorite player. And they said, at the time, I think he was 26. And I read somebody said, if he continues to run like this, he won't have a long career and he won't blah, 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 blah. And I remember crying reading that. I was like, no, you don't know anything about Earl Campbell. And they were right. They were right. I mean, at the end of the day, all those guys who were hard runners, especially running backs, hard tacklers, hard whatever, and left it all on the field, when they retire, it seems like they have challenges. But then some, it's weird, some don't, like the Ray Lewis's, Michael Strahan, I mean, maybe the Coke helped out. Lawrence Taylor, maybe because he was high. I mean, some of these guys, some guys, if we don't even know their name, suffered from the damage and died and whatever. Other guys seem to be okay. So Lois, as a mother of 3 boys and an advocate for 4 boys, good gracious. So okay, Bootsy, no jokes. Lois is pushing. Anyway, what's your take on it? And then Lois, give us your whole background, because Bootsy, there's a whole bunch to unpack. You always say, Lois, tell us all about yourself, starting with, what do you think? Why do you think some athletes seem to have suffered and some don't in this very violent sport?
It's hard to say because there's just so many different variables, different factors that go into it, I think. But in my opinion, I guess it's all about, how you're treating your body while you're in the game and while you're off, out of the game. The habits that you have maybe, factor into that. It's tough. It's, who knows? Who knows? It could be just that somebody's more flexible than the other person. So they, don't suffer as many, tears or whatnot and don't have long-term effects from that. But it's hard to say. I think that's just one of those things where it's just going to take a long time to figure that out because there's so many different people with different outcomes, different, factors that go into it.
So take us to that. Take us to Little Lois. Low. And when you first started loving football.
So, okay, I grew up with my grandparents and my older brother, and me and my brother did everything. We played bike tag, we played soccer, we were always outside, we were sliding down the stairs with a blanket. We were doing everything. And so, we just played sports with the neighborhood kids, and that was just a normal thing. And one day we did play football, and I remember it so well because I had so much fun that day.
Mhm.
I was the only girl, but it wasn't a thing. It was a little bit of a thing just because I was holding my own. I was able to stay, keep up with the guys. But it wasn't like, no one shunned me or no one said, no, you can't do this. They, played right along with me. And it was the best thing ever because I'm on the field and I can push people. I can pull people. I can jump on people and not get in trouble for it. So it was a lot of fun. And I think it was a huge adrenaline rush. And I think it went to my head because I was actually doing well with it. The guys supported me. They were encouraging me. My brother would throw me the ball. I'd catch a touchdown. Maybe the boys didn't want to tackle me because I was a girl, or maybe I was too fast for them. But either way, I really enjoyed the sport. And growing up, we didn't have, or we might have had a rec league or something, or in the area or in the neighborhood, but we didn't know about it. My grandparents didn't, sign us up for anything like that.
What area did you grow up in?
Silver Spring, Maryland.
Okay.
And we spent just about every single weekend traveling to North Carolina. My grandmother's parents lived there, so we were always back and forth. So Bullock, North Carolina to Silver Spring, Maryland. But we, so we didn't do any kind of like organized sport until it got to high school. And in high school, that's when I was like, okay, I know I want to play football. My brother played. So I told the coach, I was like, I want to play football. And he told me straight up, he was like, you're not going to be on the roster, but you can come on out and practice with us. So I did. I practiced for a little while. I didn't stick with it. My best friend was a cheerleader.
What high school was that?
Bethesda Chevy Chase High School, BCC.
Okay, BCC. That's where Allison went.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So you know the area.
Yep. I got one there now.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm. I did the research. I didn't know you were coaching there. I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah. So I ended up, my best friend was a cheerleader. So I was like, forget this, I'm gonna be a cheerleader too. So that's what I ended up doing for all 4 years. But I also ran track because I was focused on what the football players were doing. I was still, nothing against the coach or anything like that, but I was just very, very interested in the game. And so every Friday the boys would wear their jersey. The quarterback would carry the ball throughout school. So, I picked up on that. I was like, okay, I'm gonna carry the ball too. The coach said, if you want to play football, you have to run track. So I ran track. So all these, little things that I started to pick up on with what the guys did in class. I was so obsessed with it. In class, I would doodle on my paper. I would doodle footballs. I'd put my name Lolo, L football. And so my obsession, and it was an obsession. It's crazy, but it grew. So when I went to college, I went to Clarke.
Okay, hold on. I just want to jump in and ask you just one honest question.
Yes.
Lolo, this is me and Mark. Everybody here is family. Okay, my question to you about your high school situation is, do you think if they would have put you on the team and you got on the field, how good do you think you could have been? Do you think you would have been able to be competitive? Do you think you really, I'm not being funny, but do you think you could have possibly contribute to what the team was when you were there?
I think I could have. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
That was my energy. That was who I was.
That was your vibe.
That was me. I was always like I said, when I was with my brother growing up, that was just normal to me. Was not, I didn't hold back. I didn't, just because I was a girl, I didn't, see any differences at that time. Of course.
What did you want to play? What did you want to play on the team? Like if the coach would have said, yeah, what position would you have went out for and played?
I think I probably would have wanted to be a quarterback.
Okay, what would have been your second position?
Bootsy, wait, hold up, Bootsy. What was the
Yeah,
no.
Okay, hold on. Could have been quarterback.
Hold on. That would have been a lot if you in the high school. Now, mind you, I went to high school in DC area too. I went to McKinley Tech. If I would have saw a team, and if the best person to be a quarterback would have been a girl, that would have been a lot of jokes. Like, do you imagine as a DC public school student what the jokes that they would have got? So,
you don't have to imagine it. It happens every day today because there are thousands of girls
what's interesting is, I think quarterback, to be honest, I could see girl quarterbacks because, from a standpoint of a lot of the positions, when you're talking about strength, linemen, and especially that age, and guys are going through the growth stage, whatever. But girls, whatever. I think actually smarts, playmaking ability, and it's like, it's interesting. I could see that. I can see that.
But-
Actually, quarterback to me would be, if I was saying like plugging, and I'm not trying to be offensive, but I'm just saying plugging. You know,
Yeah, 'cause I don't
and
wanna be
you
offensive
coach. You coach now, Lois, from a standpoint of just, you know, the strength and the quickness and the that's needed. To me, it's interesting. Quarterback would be one of the spots that I think women would play, actually. But
devil's
anyway.
advocate, though. Devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Only been a devil's advocate. But that is the most punishing physical position on the field.
Not in high school.
Yes, it is.
Now. No, it used to be. It's not anymore.
Well, I don't know the last time you've been. Take it from a guy who announces high school football games in DC, and also, you know, kind of help out with youth leagues. It is still the most. It is the position that gets the most attention, and you have the ball the most. Yeah. And everybody's coming to hit you even when you're not. So that is definitely a physical, most demanding position. If she would have said, let me say this once again, I don't know what you could have did, but if you would have said wide receiver, I could have been like, you know what, you probably could have threw on the field. If you would have said kicker or special teams, I could have been like, but quarterback, they're coming to hit you every play. No matter what you do.
I think no matter what, if you're on offense, somebody's coming to hit you every single play. So it doesn't even matter.
I don't think the quarterbacks get hit more. They obviously don't get more than running back. I don't think quarterbacks get, if you're a running quarterback, yeah. But if you're a quarterback. But anyway.
Well, let me just say this. I didn't choose quarterback because of any specific physical reason. That was my interest. But I agree that it's a mental position. It is something that, and football is a game of strategy. So the physical part is going to have to come, but what's very important is the mental part. And so as long as you have that confidence and that the intelligence and the smarts to pick up on the game, then whatever position you put yourself into, you can get it done.
And at the high school level, what's funny, Bootsy, is if you've been to some high school games, there are a lot of guys that suck. Okay. So it's not.
There's guys that suck everywhere. But you know what I mean?
Dynasties. No, that's what I'm saying. So when you talk about high school sports, I'm just saying, when you talk about high school sports and athletes, it's almost like, you know, I remember when I was when I started playing baseball, our best pitcher was a girl all the way up until high school. You know what I mean? Why? Because she was a technician, right? And so the same thing. Like if girls are playing football, I could see it because again, a lot of kids, they're just not that great. I mean, and so all I'm saying is, the great athletes, regardless of sex, will rise to the top in a situation, especially if you need a good player and the person happens to be a girl or a boy. But anyway, Lois,
because she was talking about her transition to Clark Atlanta, and I wanted to hear it. But I just wanted to know what position would you have played if they would have allowed you to play in high school. So please continue. And I'm sorry, Lois.
Yeah, no, that was a great question. And honestly, in that moment, I don't think I really was in tune with what other positions I would have been interested in, but that was the one that stood out to me. So.
That's okay. That's just Bootsy infusing his man perspective on.
I have 5 sisters.
We take him out of the cave occasionally, but go ahead.
I have 5 sisters. Don't do me like that, Mark.
No, it's welcome. It's welcome. I like the conversation. I love to change minds and let you know, the woman's perspective too.
Yeah, because it's interesting to really see you after all these years later say that in high school I could have played quarterback and you still feel that way. So I think that is showing the passion. You still haven't let it go.
She's a coach at Bethesda Chevy Chase.
Yeah. Wow. So I mean, and I think a lot that goes into it, people don't realize is that when you start with confidence, right? I mean, you can't just when you get on the field, if you don't have that part of it, you're probably not going to be able to put yourself in a situation where you can grow or get better or hone in on that position. So it starts with confidence. And I had a lot of that when I was growing up. I mean, I was the neighborhood kids that were around me, that environment that I was in was supportive. And so I felt like I could do that.
And Lois, that's a great point from a standpoint. I have all daughters, right? And we raise our daughters different, right? But it's not even how we raise them, it's how society.
Right.
It's the template, right? And so Lois, talk to us, and I'm sorry, we'll go back to your story too, but we can get all this information from you, smuggle all this information. Talk to us, because you're right, football is in a sense a guy thing, but that thing you just said about that confidence piece, I think men are taught to do that. It's almost like we lead with that, whereas women are always taught to almost to dim that down. So talk to us about that, and when you do have that confidence as a woman, did you find that if you analyzed it, there were a lot of people who are almost trying to calm down your confidence in yourself. Because having 3 daughters, it's like my oldest, she fights, she's got a mindset, she kind of fights through it, so she's not really been affected by it. My middle child is probably most sensitive to it, and then my baby watches my oldest and the middle child. But society subconsciously almost pushes it down. And even what's funny is women kind of do too. Like if you do roll like that, like if a woman says I'm the shit, somebody's gonna say, oh, okay, now Lois, now wait a minute, now you ain't the shit now. Whereas if Bootsy says it as a 17-year-old, you right, boy, you out, So talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real thing. It's very real. It's we're in society, we're taught roles and certain ways to be or certain positions to be in, and that just has that effect on everyone in general. When we're talking about high school boys, I didn't deal with this growing up, but there are the girls across the country that I speak to today. They deal with the stereotypes and the sexism from those roles and the way that society deems appropriate for a woman. So when you're looking at football, which is predominantly supposedly a man's sport, and then a woman comes in to play this, now all of a sudden there's a problem because it's a conflict. You don't understand that a woman can actually do that. We associate femininity with weakness most of the time, when it's in fact it's quite the opposite. Women have to overcome so much just in football. And speaking of football, we have to overcome so much just to be on the same level as a man. And so when you're talking about strength, it comes from that character that you get from dealing with all of that. And so if you take a 5-year-old girl today and you were to put her in an environment that supports her in whatever it is that she wants to do, she's going to do it, and she's going to do it well. Because, when you have boys who play football as a child, you are basically encouraging them, you're, supporting them, giving them all the resources that they need to make it to the NFL, or to get, if that's what they want to do, you'll support them in that. Girls don't have the same thing. So we as women, we're coming into football as adults, right? We're already we're the size, shape that we are, right? We're adults. We didn't have a history of learning the game. We may have watched it on TV, but we didn't have that insight to what is what does the left guard do? What is a pulling guard? Well, what are all these little different things that are involved in football that make the game? We don't have that. So we have to learn that as an adult. So when you take a girl who's in high school and you put her on the football team, the confidence is a huge factor. She's not confident. She may not be confident because she didn't have that support system. She may not be confident because she doesn't have the knowledge. She doesn't know what she doesn't know. So she's stepping into this kind of lost, maybe a little bit clueless, and not to mention she's the only girl, so she can't relate to her teammates, right? And her teammates may accept her or they may not. And a lot of times, unfortunately, girls don't get accepted. They're talked about, they're told, or they're targeted. Whatever the case may be, it's a difference. It's a huge difference. But when you are able to support someone, and we're talking about football, but this goes across the board, no matter what it is that you're doing, if you know that you have support, and this is especially like when I play today, just knowing that I have someone in the stands that is there for me, I'm going to play my best, because I can do everything I want to do for myself. But when I'm able to please someone else, it's you go a little bit further. You do a little bit more. So it's so important.
That is absolutely amazing. And I think that's a metaphor for life in general. I think the whole thing of just a support system, creating a community of support or whatever. Is there a bigger community of lady football players in this area than we may know of? Because I do know the DC Divas, but I'm not as well versed. Could you tell me what the community, what the demand is? What is that situation looking like in 2022?
Yeah, it's we like to say that we're the best kept secret. We're not trying to be a secret, but nobody really knows. There are over 60 teams across the country. Every major city has a team of women who play this game. There are girls who play in high school across this country. And you're starting to see it more and more because of social media, and that confidence is building up, because, a girl may want to play, but she doesn't have the confidence to step out there and do it. But now she's able to see that there is another girl on the field, or there are other girls on the field, so I can do it too. And so anyway, so here in DC, the Divas, we have over 70 players on this team. today. So it's a huge community. And then on top of that, you take into consideration all of the teams across the country, and we all, connect together, and we're our own support system. But not only that, the WFA, the Women's Football Alliance, is also now international. So we have teams outside of the country. So we have a program for that in place as well.
So in the league right now, currently, how many teams are in the WFA right now?
About 62. It's over 60.
So there's a league right now that exists, and there's 62 teams in this one league.
Yes, and it's broken down into divisions. So we have a pro level,
no idea.
D2,
Wow.
D3, and developmental. So in the pro level, you'll have about, I believe, 11 teams on pro, and then we have about 20 in D2, 20 in D3, and then 10 in the developmental.
So obviously, we need to get some of that advertising, but word out there so people know. Let's get
yes. What do you think I'm doing?
And,
That's why I do what I do. Honestly, I mean, it's because when I was that little girl, can you imagine? Well, you maybe not you, but me. Can I imagine if I was that little girl? The coach told me, no, you're not going to be on this roster. But if I saw a woman on the field and I knew that it was possible, see, in that time, I accepted that as normal. I wasn't mad about it.
What year was this? What year was this?
What year was that? Tells her age.
1999, 2000 ish.
Okay.
No, 98, 99. Yeah, 98.
Okay,
99.
yeah. I was in high school there too, so that's very interesting. Okay, I would love to ask you a few uncomfortable sports women's football questions, if that's okay.
Okay, all right, Bootsy.
All right.
Let me get
Okay. So first of all, let me just say this. This whole conversation is really impressive, and how in detail and layman terms you're breaking it down is really impressive. You're giving me an absolutely different perspective and opinion of what it is, the community of as well. But I would love to ask you about the marketing and promotion of women's football. So I guess we all kind of can agree that there was a women's football league that MTV decided to support and get around. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually paid attention to it. And I was fascinated about it. It was called the Lingerie Football League or whatever. I would love to know, what was your perspective on that, and do you think it minimized what you guys were trying to accomplish in ladies football?
Okay, so two parts to this. So in that time when it first came out, I was upset. I was mad, because here we are playing this game, and the only person or the only players that are getting paid for it are the ones who have outfits that are not comfortable for everybody to wear. So, it was very much sexualizing, in my opinion, at that time. It was sexualizing the sport. I don't hold that against the players. And today I have a different perspective on it, just because it's a different game. I play football 11 on 11 outside, 100 yards, 120 if you count the end zones. But this is arena football. This is 7 on 7, indoor, no sidelines. So it's a different game altogether, in my opinion. But they ball out. They are playing just like we're playing. They're dedicated to their craft just like we are as well. But I definitely did not appreciate it at that time because, like you said, the marketing aspect of it, we are busting our butts out here to play this sport and to get recognition and to be appreciated and respected for it. But then we have another league that comes in that looks different, and it's not comfortable for everybody. And they're getting all of the attention. And here we've been, and mind you, the Divas have been around for 20 plus years. We've been around since 2000. So, it definitely felt like someone took, it was a gut punch. It was like taking the rug up under our feet.
Okay, so the uncomfortable question, as the most respected interviewer and journalist on this panel, I would like to ask you, Lois, do you think it helped ladies football causes, or do you think it hurt and derailed lady football causes?
That's a very good question.
That's a question. That's why I pay him millions.
That's I can't say honestly. I don't see a significant move of that needle either direction. I don't see it, because in the same way that it's maybe helping, it's also not helping, because it's taking away the attention from, the other the women who play in a different aspect. I've heard very different reviews of it, that it's a gimmick, that it's, it's not real football. But I've also heard that it is real football, and they're balling out too. So the only difference is the uniform. So I think we're right in the middle. I don't.
Okay. Since I'm sorry, go ahead, Mark, because I'm about to get into some uncomfortable questions. You go ahead.
Oh, that's not. So I think, like you said, sadly, when we talk about women, it's always, women are always sexualized, because I think there's a belief, and it could be, sadly, not a belief, but marketing and promotion knows that sex sells. So they always sexualize. And
that's why you had me on the show, Mark. But go ahead.
Women, and even, in this age where, a lot of the stars, women are talking about, sadly, they lean on, including Beyonce, they lean on sexual images to push forward, whatever, right? So, and it's tough because as the WNBA, most of the women's sports, it's a challenge because you said move the needle. How do we move the needle? How do we make people say, well, I want to watch women play football. I want to watch women's boxing. And I think, Lois, like you probably do, if given a chance, that eventually the audience finds it, you know what I mean? But sadly, a lot of times because of money, you don't have the time. So then that's why they come out and they lean on the old tricks, which is sexualizing it, right? So I think that's the loop on every because it's almost like WNBA. WNBA, years ago, they used to say it, that technically a lot of times the players are better than the men's games. I think now there's no doubt when you watch women's basketball, because, from shooting threes to whatever, it's a very technical league, and it's thriving from a standpoint of even the critics can't deny they're playing great basketball. And I'm sure the same thing is happening with the football, women's football. But like you said, the challenge is that spotlight being on it. And, I think you're here to stay, but you know what I mean? Like you said, you've been there 20 years, but people still don't know.
Yeah,
you need millions of dollars to market and promote, and to get that, you got to So it's always it's a catch-22 when it comes to that. And sadly, we're as a society, we're wired a certain way, and it's going to take a lot to change that.
I have so much to say.
Go ahead.
I know.
Beautiful about this show. Go ahead. You got a minute. I'm joking. You got.
Because I kind of got something to say too, but I want to hear what you want to say though.
So
thanks,
there's so much. I feel like there's just so much to unpack. Okay, so first of all, let's just go back to the LFL, which is now the Legends Football League, but they're promoting and they're 7-on-7, right? So all of the women are essentially the same size. We at the WFA, we're 11-on-11. We got O-line, we got D-line, we got wide receivers, we have all different sizes of women. So you're not helping the situation by promoting just that, because now people are looking for just that. And there are so many talented athletes out here that don't represent a small figure, or and that's just there. But also now I forgot what I was gonna say.
You got it. You'll come back.
Okay. Let me
come back.
Okay. And if you think about it,
and I'm joking.
That's funny. Well, let me say this. If you think about it, come back and just say your point. But I want to just say this though, right? So I'm gonna tell you where I'm fascinated, but it's an understanding thing. I give you a prime example. Do you know what probably is the most popular women's sporting activity is? What would you say? Because I would say women's soccer, to me, would probably be the most, and it's just an assessment, just from what I'm learning or whatever.
What you mean, team sport, not tennis?
No, well, I'm just saying as a team group activity, see. What I will say is there is a concentrated, concerted effort in marketing what they do. They actually market skill. They actually market women's. I don't want to see because now I feel like I'm about to say something bad. They actually. It's
a safe space. You can say anything.
Maybe it's a safe space.
Yeah, right.
You get my helmet. Hold on.
But but I think they do a great job consistently year after year focusing on women's empowerment, and they do a great job of focusing on one or two athletes to build it up. Mia Hamm would be one of them or whatever. I just think because I do know about DC Divas, I just think they could get a look, for your guys' cause, they would have to get a little bit more creative on how they market and promote what you guys do. Because I will say what I recognize about the lingerie league was they did a great job on focusing on the athleticism of what they were doing while they looked that way. If you were in charge of marketing, or if have you ever sat and thought of different creative ways to market it? What do you think maybe could be done different to get the word out or let people know how amazing athletes you are as well?
Yeah, no, I think that I've definitely thought of many, many ways to market. The problem is our resources.
Yeah, the
You know
budget.
what I'm saying? We don't, we have players that have to pay a fee to play this game, and so we buy our own equipment, we buy our own, everything that we have to put into this game is coming out of pocket unless we have sponsors. And it's very difficult because we're in this tight little circle where we don't have the resources to do this, but we want to do this, and we are doing a lot of this, but we're still held back because of the lack of resources.
Well,
and
Bootsy, I think this is the loop. It's funny. Any group, people of color, women. So women, like you said, they marketed and promoted the league you're talking, the lingerie league. What did they do though? Like you say, it's sex. It's women of a certain size in sexy outfits, and they talk about the athleticism, but the reality is it's a certain box that you have to fit in as a woman to be featured and play in the league.
Right.
Boom, right? So you mentioned soccer. Soccer, the powers that be, sponsors, they've been marketing soccer to everybody for the last blank years. I'm 55 since I was a kid. And so the soccer thing is soccer moms, parents, upper middle class people. They've been pushing it down your throat all these years. And so it's easy to support women's soccer because they've been pushing soccer. They got all the money in the world. And so they can create any kind of image
that I didn't know. And see,
yeah, and so now you're talking about,
because when I hear 60 teams, which I did not know, when I heard these three divisions, just when I heard that, I'm like, oh, wow, it's a lot more than what I knew.
Yes, but they don't have the money to promote. That's the challenge.
And
is
so
you go to sponsor, you can't get the sponsorships because why? Because in a sense, what you're appealing to is the sponsors have to say, okay, yeah, I want to see women playing football. I think what you're up against is a lot of the sponsors are like, no. And it's always men. So it's like I'm not buying it. I'm not buying into it. And so it's like a fight.
Yeah, it is. And a lot of people a lot of the feedback that I get is that people want to see, of course, you want to see a lot of bodies in the stands. Well, we sold out both of our first two games, here in DC. So it was standing room only. So it is bodies out there. There are fans, there are spectators watching the game. And a lot of people talk about the high flying hits and the hard hits and these amazing plays that you see in the NFL. And you get that too with the women. The problem is that people don't take us for who we are, right? You have to appreciate who these women are that play this game today. I talked about it a little bit earlier, but we're moms, we're aunts, we're cousins, we're grandmothers even. We're women who come into this game as an adult, and we're learning a huge system of football in, a few nights a week. You know what I'm saying? So we're actually out here doing it. And people, I don't think they connect that, and they won't connect it unless they actually see us in person and see that passion, that intensity that we have on the field, and they can see the talent that's out there. But that's where we're stuck at is, just come see us. If you come see us, I'm sure you will understand, and you'll see the amazing athletes that we have out there, and then we will get those sponsors. But we need society to accept that women play football first and foremost, because there's still so many that don't, so that we can change that narrative a little bit.
And when's the season? Because what we're going to do definitely here as a supporter, as a media supporter, we'll definitely, from the schedule to getting people more, because again, people don't know. And I don't think you guys not only have the budget, but now with that many people, you guys need to have a social media in place to
Well, we do.
be
We do.
promoted.
And that's actually that's why I do what I do, is literally for this sport. I don't do anything else. I do social media marketing for the league and for my team. And I do a lot of content that's revolved around empowering women and young girls in this sport, not just the women and young girls, but also boys too, so that they're educated as well, that women do belong on the field. It's not a competition with the men. We complement the men. We play in the spring. So our schedule, our games are April through July. We have 2 more games. So we're headed to Boston this weekend, and then next weekend we'll be in Pittsburgh. But yeah, we complement the game, you know, women who play. So everything that I do is to really expose this sport to the world and to let people know who we are and just the realness of it.
So Lois, you have 4 sons. Do they play? Are they down? Are they not? Are they like, no, are they players? Are they going to be future footballers or no?
Yeah, but first of all, my 2-year-old is going to be a linebacker somewhere, because the way he's bouncing off these walls in here. My oldest is 15, and he is a football player. He loves basketball and wrestling, and now he wants to be a wide receiver like his mom. And so my other 2 are 5 and 6, and they're into all sports. So they love sports in general. So they haven't really picked one particular one.
So I'm fascinated to know, has the league that you play in ever came close to getting a big sponsorship? Were there ever some talks or a situation when you guys thought something was going to happen and didn't? And if so, what do you think the reason was for that?
Well, we have huge, I mean, don't get me wrong, we have huge sponsorships, right?
Like who?
Wilson.
Like who? I would love that.
Wilson. ESPN takes our championship game. The Pro Football Hall of Fame is our house, our home for our championship game. Zenith, Secret, Aid Nation, KT Tape, you know, so we do have really great sponsors. But on a local level, when you have these teams who are developing and these teams who are trying to build, it's really difficult to do that when you don't have that local support as well. So we have local sponsors, but it usually is not enough to make a huge impact, a big difference in growing the game. But, you know, and honestly, and I have to say, I know we're not where we should, like where we want to be, but I've been in this game since 2000 to 2002, and I have seen the growth. I've gotten from 2002 when I was playing football and I'm walking around like I'm the same way I used to be. I will walk down the street in my uniform. I don't care, but I just to talk about football.
Okay,
right?
Calm down, Lois. Damn it. I don't need to see you at the casino in a damn football.
I mean, I might do it. I'm just saying. But like back in the day when I first started playing football, I would be talking to a random stranger and say, hey, I play football. And they're like, oh, you mean soccer? Or, oh, you mean flag? Or maybe they say, oh, you mean the lingerie league? And today I'll say, oh, I play for the Divas. They're like, oh my gosh, I saw you guys play. You know, so it's there is a big difference. So I can personally see that growth just from my experience in the game. And I know where we're going. We're going far. We just need more exposure.
I love it. Okay, so I'm sorry.
Well, Bootsy, because Bootsy, you're expert on this. Is anybody calling the games when you have local home games?
Yeah. So we actually Scott Jackson.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Well, doggone it, you already got it going. I was gonna try. We were trying to steal. Marc Clarke Media was going to try to steal the account.
Well, hey, listen, we can talk about that.
Okay, let's get it going.
Well, Scott, close your ears, Scott. Close your ears.
That's funny. Lois, I would love to ask you this question. As you know, now in 2022, there has been, I would say the last 3-4 years, there have been a high number of female coaches in the NFL. I would love to know what your thoughts on that, and what do you see the future of even the Washington football team has one, and they actually promoted her. What is your thoughts on that, and what do you think it may lead women's football in general?
Well, you know, I love it. I love all of that. And I'm so proud to say that I played alongside Jennifer King. She was a DC Diva. Callie Brownson, she was a DC Diva.
Okay.
Lori Logan, she was in the WFA. You know, so yes. So I love to see it. And these are positions that women are getting, but that because they played first, they played with the WFA first.
That's a great point. That is a great point.
Yep. So it's not just that, oh, we need a woman in this position, but these are talented athletes who are talented women who have been athletes and have been in the game. So they have the knowledge, they have the experience. And so I think it's necessary. I think it's so important. Again, going back to who I was as a child, when I wanted to play the game and I was told no, and I accepted the no. If I knew that there was a woman on the field, if I knew that that position was available, whether it was whether she was playing or whether she was coaching, if I knew I had somewhere that I could reach for in this sport, then I would have dug deeper. I would have stayed in the game. I would have learned as much as I could back in the day. So it's so important. Representation matters. And no matter what it looks like, it matters. So it's to have a woman on the field is necessary to grow. And when women are on the field, we're not just enhancing the sport for women, we're enhancing the sport for everybody.
Right.
Speaking of that, Lois, you seems like you can make thousands, if not millions, breaking it down like football for women. Like, is that something you do that on the side? And Marc Clarke would love to sponsor you.
You should.
You do that? Like,
yes, 100%, 1,000%.
Because it's interesting. Because it's so funny about that. And Bootsy, I don't know what kind of player you were, but if I'm honest, I really didn't. I played football, but I did not really. I knew the basics, but I was not a student of the game as I probably should have been as someone who played the game. You know what I mean? When I was playing, I wasn't even paying attention to most of it. And I think what's funny is when you talk to the star players, a lot of them happen to be super gifted, talented guys, but they're not even fans of it. It's weird, right? And then you got some of the role players, like they're like little mini coaches, but then like the superstars be like, yeah, I never really watched the game. It's like, why? But so, at the end of the day, were you a student of the game? In addition to loving it, were you also that person that's like, okay, they probably should have or a technique person? Were you like that person that studied it like that?
I'm all about technique. I think it's the fine details are what makes it. Like, I'm always looking at those small details that make up the whole. Like, everything to me, every little thing matters. I'm always a student of the game. I'm always trying to learn. And no matter how many years I have in the game, I can always still learn. I was grateful. I'm very fortunate to have been selected as a coach for the NFL Alumni Academy. So I was there in December to help coach as an intern, but to help coach the NFL free agents. And that was a whole new experience for me. And it was amazing because it was seeing a whole different dynamic of this sport. Waking up, like, again, women who play this sport, we get in where we can fit in, right? We got women who work during the day and then go to practice at night. And here I was at the NFL Alumni Academy. We wake up, have a nice big old breakfast, go work out, go do our, do the drills and whatnot, go to the weight room, go have lunch, go to the swimming pool. It's a whole full day of football. And the first day that I was there, I had a moment because it was hard to see that, to take that in and not feel kind of emotional about it. Why can't women have that? But it was also powerful because it gave me a different a mindset, a different aspect, or looking at football from a different aspect and being able to just be all in 100% of the day. And that's all I ever wanted. So it's amazing. And women deserve that too.
One of the most frustrating things, and I'm not even from DC, and I'm definitely not a Commanders football fan.
Be easy on the show. So come on, man.
It has to be not heartbreaking, but when you're a fan, let's look at DC. Right? One of the beefs I know people from DC have to have, especially the Black community, is when you look at how sports is covered. It's like covered from the perspective of a white guy from Virginia. You know what I mean? There's no tie-in to the historic, both you guys, Art Monk, hands down, DC, Chocolate City when you were kids. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That aspect, especially since Doc Walker and Coach Thompson are gone, you don't have that at all anymore. The other day, I heard something going on the radio, and I was like, as an athlete, I wanted to ask you, Lois, and also a DC person. I don't think I've ever heard this. As people know, DC and Baltimore are different in that Baltimore is real. Baltimore is, the fans love their players. They love Levante with his gold chains and his fancy car and whatever. All they care about is what Levante does on the football field and all that other stuff.
You mean Lamar, but go ahead, though. You mean Lamar.
DC is a whole different ballpark. So Chase Young, right? I'm hearing a guy. So last year Chase was rookie last year, right?
Year before last. Last year he was the second year, but go ahead.
Second year. First year, he was like what? Star rookie, right?
Yeah, rookie of the year.
Yes, last year he got injured. He was, right? So on the radio, the hosts, they were, he made the list of the 25 stars under 25. He was like, let's say he was 13. They were saying these radio guys on DC radio were talking about how he needed to be maybe three slots down. I was thinking to myself, first of all, I don't think I've ever heard that kind of hate. You're here, and this kid is one of the stars of the league, no doubt. Last year he didn't have the year that he had the year before, but he's still considered one of the new faces of the league, right? And here they are on the radio downgrading that piece, number one. Number two, Lois, this is what I'm talking about from an athlete standpoint. Look, I think he didn't report to one of the training camps, whatever, and they just hold it over his head. But dude, this is a star linebacker in the NFL who came in as a rookie and dominated. And even not having a great season before he got injured, he's a dominant player. And you hear these idiots not understand what that really means. It's almost like they let their personal feelings about people influence how they view the kid. Just like the lineman, it was Allen who was up for a thing, and before the season, he had a great season last year, but they were all like, oh, they don't need to pay him, da-da-da. Then he comes out and has a great season. Lois, does it make you crazy when you hear these so-called experts on these damn shows talk that talk? Ain't never, as Doc Walker said, they ain't never busted a grape. They never laced up a damn helmet. They never were a starter on their team. I mean, does it drive you crazy?
Shout out to the sports junkies. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it is, because you have to also remember that these athletes are human too. So, of course, they're held to a very high standard, as they should be, but you also have to remember they're humans too. So if maybe he has a bad season, whatever, but he's still the same athlete, and as long as he's still in the game and he's still working to be the best athlete he can be, let's give him credit where credit is due. But I think people who are behind the scenes that don't actually, like you said, maybe didn't bust a grape, but they maybe look at people unrealistically sometimes. Mm-hmm. And you look like you got a whole big thought right there.
No. Okay, first of all, I agree with you 100%. And for some reason in this area, that has been a thing with the Washington football team. But let me tell you what they hate the most here. I'm a lifelong Washingtonian, DC public schools. They have never, the media, at no time I can remember, have they ever championed or got behind any black quarterback that was a quarterback for the Washington football team. It don't matter who. I watched them do it to Donovan McNabb. I watched them do it to RG3. They was doing it to Dwayne Haskins. May he rest in peace. For some reason, they just do not get behind. I mean, it's like a venom. They go a little bit extra. And then the other thing is how they will protect certain people and they will dig in deep. Let me tell you something. Mike and Cal Shanahan got away with murder when they were bro. Take it from somebody. Shout out to Josh Morgan, who had two homies that was on the team. Got away with murder. RG3 sneezed and it made the front page. So for some reason, the media here has always been that way. What do you think it is, Lois? Do you think that's your assessment of it? And just give me your breakdown of what you think, how the media has always reported on black athletes in the DMV.
I was going to ask you what was the same question. What is it? Like, what is is it that people are truly drawn to that kind of coverage around the area? Is that what it is? Or do we need to make sure that we're doing more to change society?
It's racism. You know what it is.
Well, I'm just saying, we got to do something about it, right?
It's classism. Yeah. You know what I say? It's classism? Because someone else they dogged out that I thought was interesting. And that's the thing about, again, like you said, Bootsy, the venom and the way they twist it in DC sports is they'll try to make you like you ain't nothing. They'll try to make you like when Deion came here, right? Did Deion have a great here? No. But ironically, when he went to Baltimore, he returned to his form, right? Who's the football coach? Remember, they call him the old football coach from Florida.
Steve Spurrier.
Steve Spurrier. They made, and again, the records and stuff are important, but they tried to make Steve Spurrier, and he's white, so I don't think I think it's class. They tried to make him like he was the biggest idiot in the world when this guy was one of the greatest college coaches of his time. You know what I mean? If you base it on what they were talking about, you know, you would think that this guy didn't know anything about it. They made, football coach, I'll make him sound like a Southern idiot when he got the receipts already, right?
Your thoughts, Lois?
Your thoughts,
because Lois looked like she want to jump in here on that one, Mark. Lois looked like she may disagree with you. Your thoughts, Lois, on Steve Spurrier, the Steve Spurrier experience?
No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm over here trying to figure out how do we infiltrate the system.
and lastly, give me one more. Okay. I'm gonna tell you one more. Once again. Oh, and what's my man that got killed? Sean Taylor. They act like they loved him. They didn't give him love till the last year and a half of his career.
Oh no, they hated him.
If he was in Baltimore, he would have been a king from day one. Because Baltimore, and then one more. When Portis came to Washington, D.C., he was heading to the Hall of Fame. If Portis had stayed in Denver, he would have been a Hall of Famer. He came here. They turned him into, first of all, he was in Denver. Portis ran the ball and caught the ball out of the backfield. He was that kind of running back. He's going to get in the end zone any way you want him. Here, they turned him into, he gained 20 pounds and turned him to a power back and destroyed his body.
Well, Mark, let me give you one little small tip about Clinton Portis, who I like as a person. He was a great guy. Clinton Portis could not stay out of the clubs in Washington, D.C. If you wanted to see Clinton Portis any day of the week, I'm sure Lois knows this, you could find Clinton Portis. You know, some people don't do good in the D.C. DMV market because of just the clubs, the atmosphere, the women. Clinton Portis kind of got caught up a little bit, and not saying that he did not have the talent, but man, I'll just give you this one small story. The Washington football team had a 1:00 football game at the stadium against Denver Broncos on a 1 p.m. It's Howard homecoming. I go into 1223 at 1:00 in the morning, and I see Clinton Portis and Fred Smoot on the wall dancing with chicks. I'm like, bruh, like you could not keep Clinton Portis out of the club, to the point where Brian Mitchell got on radio and said, "Hey, can somebody talk to Clinton Portis and keep him out of the club?" So Clinton, I don't know about that one. Go ahead, Lois, because you want to jump in.
No, that brings me to my point that I always say is that being an athlete is a lifestyle. And so, if you make choices that don't support you on the field, it's going to show.
Yeah, because this is real talk. I'm not being funny. When you got people that come from places like Denver and come to DC, I think it should be a DMV orientation. I really do think a conversation can be had. I cannot tell you how many people were stars somewhere else, and I seen them come here and they kind of lose themselves. You know what I mean? A little bit. I just think it should be a better understanding of what it is to be an athlete for the Wizards and the Washington Commanders, to know how to manage the nightlife and the extracurricular activities. I'll just say that. Lois.
Well, I don't know because we forget that he went to the U. He's been partying since he was in college, and he knew how to. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I mean, but again, you guys also didn't have leadership. We had Ray Lewis in the locker room.
Well, I was going to ask about that. Maybe it's you're on to something, but maybe it's how do you handle all this? Once you join the NFL and now you have a whole new lifestyle.
Well, that's the piece I think Baltimore always had. we had a leadership in the locker room. You guys never have really had that in a long time since the old days. You didn't,
but it ain't much to do in Baltimore. It ain't no disrespect, but the nightlife scene in the DMV.
It's right down, but it's right down the street. It's right. If it ain't no problem, ain't no problem. But okay, get back to Lois. In the nightlife. Lois, okay, how can people reach you? How can they follow you? How can we support? And again, Lois, now that you're a part of the family, we need to get all that information so we can promote on the show. We can run the commercial. We can run the schedule. We can do all that to support the Divas and the league. All right. So how can people follow Lois Cook?
Yes, I'm on all social media platforms at Cleats and Stilettos or just my name, Lois Cook. And DC Divas Football, and also check out the WFA at WFA Football on social media as well, because there is a team in every major city. So there is a team near you, no matter where you are. And I also started a nonprofit organization. I'll just throw that in there real quick, but just to support the young girls who are in the game, to mentor and help out with the women who are playing today, and to kind of offset some of the hardships that we face. And that's called the Lois Cook Foundation, also known as Footballer. And that is also at loiscook.org.
And Lois, you're a title. Give it your title of the organization. You're not just a pretty face. Are you the president? What's your title?
I'm a wide receiver, but I'm also vice president of the team.
Okay, Lois, you got to switch that. You're the vice president and a wide receiver. Come on now, we're gonna have to get on the show. But Lois, we know you love football. Good gracious. Lois, how many more years?
Oh Lordy. So I've always said that I'm gonna ride it till the wheels fall off. I know the wheels are getting a little wobbly, so I might only have a couple more seasons. This might be my last. Next year might be who knows?
What?
I don't know. But I'm as long as I'm able, I'm gonna keep on playing.
Okay, so the next home game is next season.
So our next home, we'll go to Boston this weekend, and then we'll go to Pittsburgh. And let me just jump in here real quick, because you have on the jersey, but Franco Harris is the owner of the Pittsburgh Passion, who will play next. I thought you knew. I was waiting for you to say.
I've never met him. I've always wanted to meet him. I never met him.
He's amazing. Yes, and he is the owner of the Pittsburgh Passion. So, and Pittsburgh, I used to love playing in Pittsburgh because their games were always televised. So I used to love having TV timeouts. But that's my little story about Pittsburgh. So we are looking forward to seeing them next season. Next weekend. This weekend we're in Boston, next weekend in Pittsburgh, and then we'll start playoff season. So it is a possibility that Divas might get home field advantage for a playoff game. We're hoping for it, but we'll see.
I don't like the energy, Lois. I needed more Bootsy.
You know what? We don't have home field advantage.
Got to that. Well, we're gonna be back home, Mark. Right. Get the tickets, broadcast live.
Period.
Go Divas.
Period.
Thank you. I needed that.
Period.
Bootsy Lois got more humble than she ever was on that. Yeah.
No, we typically do, and the Divas are a winning team, right? So we have 3 national championship titles. We have an overall record of roughly 149 wins to 39 losses. So we are a winning team. We always have home field advantage. So I don't expect anything different this year. So come see us in June for our final home game.
Period.
Bootsy, do you have any more sexist questions before Lois goes?
I'm here all day.
Hold on. My questions wasn't sexist, was it, Lois?
No, it was. I was wondering where you were going a couple times, but no, it was good.
What a great thing. Mark cut me off, so I didn't get to finish. But hey, I would love, if possible, I teach broadcast journalism for the DC Department of Recreation. I've sent 31 kids to college. I would love for my students to interview you and just have one of them in-depth, informative conversations. I think for not knowing who you was, you are an amazing representation and ambassador for women's football. I am leaving here with a totally different perspective and a different understanding of what you guys go through and what you're trying to accomplish and what you guys have already have accomplished. You're an amazing representation, and thank you for enlightening me, because, being around Mark, we're real limited on what we can learn. So the fact that I'm leaving here today smarter says a lot about you as a guest host and not Mark as the leader. Just
Thank
want
you
you to know that.
so much. I appreciate that so much. It honestly, my goal, my whole goal with everything that I'm doing is that if I could just make an impact on one person, then it makes a difference. That's what I'm here for. So I appreciate that. Thank you. That's encouraging for me. I will keep on spreading the good news about the good word about women's football. So thank you. And I would love to be interviewed by your students. Thank you for that.
Yeah, my students are hardcore. So get ready. If you think I was bad or whatever Mark said I was.
Have you seen my TikTok page? I'm ready for anything.
Okay. Well, I just followed you, so I'm gonna learn today.
Okay.
We're gonna learn today. Well, speaking of that, we're gonna wrap it up again. Sadly, y'all, sorry. I'm gonna you guys don't have to hang out, but I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up with one of the old breakfast flakes, the old Super Bowl rings. Who can forget that classic?
Nobody
wow.
said we win, we in the Super Bowl.
See y'all later.
AFC
wow, we're
champs,
back.
Ravens, this
Another
is
one.
Baltimore. All I want for my birthday is a Super Bowl ring. All I want for my birthday is a Super Bowl ring. San Francisco about to dive in the Superdome. As the Pats kick that ass, it's in Brady home. All I want for my birthday is a Super Bowl ring.
I like this one.
For my birthday is a Super Bowl ring. She got a big booty, so I call her Big Booty. Man, I ain't changing that line. I gotta use it. Ray in the kitchen, tackles everywhere. Heading down to Nolan's, Ravens fans everywhere. We're the realest team left. Don't hold your breath. Referee with the whistle, replacement ref. Extending plays and retirement too. You're going to the Hall of Fame, number 52. Retribution tour, something like a marathon. Joe Flacco throwing bombs like Pakistan. Torrey bomb, Jacoby bomb, and Bolden bomb. Breakfast flake, tickets waiting, and we'll call. Brady's dead, bury him next to Peyton Manning. Next to the Colts, too, Ravens still standing. True to my Ravens, to everything but 2 chains. So when we win the Super Bowl, we'll have 2 rings. All I want for my birthday is a Super Bowl ring. All I want for my birthday is a Super Bowl ring. Nobody said we win, we in the Super Bowl. AFC champs, Ravens, this is Baltimore. All I want for my birthday is a Super Bowl ring. All I want for my birthday is a Super Bowl ring. Joey Flacco, how you doing, huh?
It's me.
It's New Orleans, you deserve to be greedy, huh? They holding back, they ain't giving to the needy, huh? You about to clown Ravens fans, so put your TV on. I quarterback for 5 years, you deserve 30 large. Especially if you put that Vince Lombardi in the garage. Especially if you put a couple touchdowns on their lids. Went to Frisco on vacation, man, I hate that bridge. Last playoff, Evans dropped the game winner. Packed him up, traded his ass, told him do better. His Rays last game, let's go.